facing these challenges alone. Our private motor insurance policy covers accidental collision, fire, windscreen damage, acts of God, bodily injury, theft, medical expense, accidental death, and dismemberment. Visit our website at www.sicntiga.com or call us today at 481-7800 for more information. State Insurance Corporation, for your protection and our economy.
This is Point FM's nightly news for Wednesday, the 14th day of February 2018. Antigua to have a Marriott Courtyard Hotel. The Prime Minister expects construction to begin shortly. The Minister of National Security slams those responsible for Delano Forbes escaping police custody while assuring the public the fugitive will be apprehended. The Jamaican Prime Minister bows to pressure, announcing a permanent Chief Justice will be appointed shortly, and South Africa's president tenders his resignation in a televised address. Thank you so much for joining us this Wednesday evening. Welcome to those of you listening by radio, those via our app. Thank you for joining us, those of you on Facebook Live and those tuning into our website, pointefmradio.com. I am Phil George. Marriott Courtyard, one of the best recognized business hotel brands, announced on Tuesday at a ceremony in Dubai the construction of a Marriott Courtyard Antigua at the VC Bird International Airport. Once constructed, the hotel will offer 125 guest rooms, meeting and conference facilities, high-end restaurant, casino, and surrounding leisure facilities. Prime Minister the Honorable Gaston Brown, who was at the ceremony at the Sunset Lounge Al Qasir Hotel in Dubai, said that the Marriott Courtyard Hotel is the perfect complement to his government's plan to transform Antigua and Barbuda into an economic powerhouse within the Caribbean. Business travelers coming to Antigua, he said, will have an opportunity to stay at one of the premier business hotels in the world, which is also one of business travelers' favorite brands. The Prime Minister said he expects construction to begin shortly and completion within a year. The government of Antigua and Barbuda has set the goal of increasing the room capacity of Antigua and Barbuda to 10,000 within the next few years. With the acquisition of the nearby cricket stadium and sticky wicket restaurant by the government of Antigua and Barbuda and the West Indies Cricket Board, there will be great opportunities for further development in the area, according to a statement. Marriott Courtyard Antigua is a partnership with GP Group JSC and Marriott International. George Vasilev, the main investor in the project and chairman of the board of directors of the developer JP Group JSC, said there are very high expectations for the exciting project. He said together with Marriott and their renowned design and construction teams, they will work diligently to ensure the highest quality product and guest experience. He said they are confident that they have assembled an extremely professional and motivated team that will create a business hotel that the island badly needs. Ibrahim Barghouti, Area Vice President, Sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East and African Continent, Marriott International, said Marriott International is happy to partner with GP Group in bringing the Courtyard brand to Antigua. He said Courtyard is one of their most successful brands and one of the preferred brands for business travelers. With a location at the airport, he noted, he is confident that Marriott Courtyard Antigua will be as successful as their as other Courtyard hotels. Guests of the hotel can look forward to experiencing the best of Marriott, he said. Their philosophy is delivering excellent service, comfort and style to their business travelers. In other news, this Wednesday evening, the Attorney General and Minister of National Security is assuring the public that no effort will be spared in capturing Delano Forbes, the murder accused who escaped police custody on Monday. It is now 2 days since the 23-year-old, shackled at the ankles, broke away from detectives who had transported him to Sweets Village as they continue to investigate several murders he allegedly committed. The Honorable Stedroy Benjamin, commenting on what is being described as an embarrassing situation for the Royal Police Force of Antigua and Barbuda, said those responsible for the prisoner's escape will be held accountable.
They are carried extensive searches together with the neighborhood. I understand from the police that they are carried extensive searches together with the neighborhood persons and indeed with the armed forces. But this should not have happened in the first place. Those officers responsible for the safeguarding and keeping of this particular accused person must be made to answer for a tremendous lapse in judgment. It is unforgivable. I've had the misfortune of having telephone calls from neighboring countries inquiring as to how was that possible. How could somebody chained at the legs, they say, make escape from officers who had responsibility for that particular prisoner? It is unfortunate. It's wrong.
The Minister of National Security is now awaiting a report on Monday's incident, following which he assures action will be taken against the law enforcement officers for gross dereliction of duty. Minister Stedroy Benjamin is appealing to the public to report to the police any sightings of Delano Forbes. He's also cautioning the citizenry against harboring criminals.
The police are out in their droves. Please be on the lookout. The moment you see anything suspicious, kindly call the police and give information. And I just want to put a word of warning to the public. This man ought not to be harbored by anyone. And anyone found to be harboring or given safe haven to this accused person will be charged and brought before the courts and will be dealt with to the fullest extent of the law. I'm asking persons to be on the lookout, to be careful, to be watchful, and to take care of yourselves and your families. Remember, this man is a dangerous individual. This man has been charged with 3 murders. This man is known to have cut the throats of individuals and drank their blood. Don't worry. The police are out there with the army and others. We will get him very shortly.
That's Attorney General and Minister of National Security, the Honorable Stedroy Benjamin. Government is to receive assistance in the rebuilding of Barbuda in the form of manpower. The National Office of Disaster Services NODS announced today that a 25-member regional team is expected by next week. A 12-member Jamaican delegation and 13 persons from the Regional Security System RSS will join a 10-member Antigua and Barbuda Defense Force team that is already carrying out work in Barbuda along with local contractors. NODS says focus is now being placed on homes categorized as levels 1 and 2, those that received minor damage, public buildings and properties belonging to persons who work in the critical services, namely teachers, airport staff, among others. A total of 82 houses have been repaired. Meanwhile, Operations Officer within the Emergency Operations Center, Major Orlando Michael, says cleanup of the properties on Barbuda continues. Electricity has been restored to several homes after they were assessed and then verified by APUA. The Sir McChesney George Secondary School has reopened and caters for 58 primary and secondary students. Major Michael says work has commenced on repairing Antigua Commercial Bank, which is expected to become operational this week. In addition, security personnel are now operating from the airport, and customs and immigration are expected to be installed shortly. The river dock is also open to the ferry, small cargo vessels, and barges. A tourism destination stewardship committee has been established by Cabinet with the aim of ensuring the implementation of the destination's sustainability projects through the provision of technical and strategic advice. Vashti Ramsey Casimir, Senior Technical Officer within the Ministry of Tourism in the Sustainable Tourism Department, is chairperson of the committee, which is now in the final stages of formation and will consist of one representative within the middle-level management from agencies including the Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority, the Antigua and Barbuda Hotels and Tourist Association, encompassing small properties, the Small Grants Program, and non-governmental organizations. Other key partners on the TDSC are the tour operators and taxi associations, the National Parks Authority, the Departments of Environment and Energy, the Ministries of Finance and Agriculture, and the Community Development Division. Destination stewardship involves creating balance in tourism destinations by engaging leaders from government, the private sector, and NGO community through a collaborative process to embed wise policies and practices into all levels of tourism planning, development, and management. The Tourism Destination Stewardship Committee is part of the Sustainable Destinations Alliance for the Americas Initiative, a regional project which Antigua and Barbuda is part of. The formation of the TDSC in Antigua and Barbuda signals a commitment by the government to support sustainable destination management efforts beyond the time zone of the SDAA. The key pillars of tourism sustainability are destination management, community involvement in benefits, conservation of natural and cultural heritage, and environmental protection. The Meteorological Office is reporting that more strong winds are expected across the island for the remainder of this week and into next week. Patrice Edwards is a local meteorological officer.
A strong surface high pressure system generated the strong winds across Antigua and Barbuda today. The winds are expected to continue through to Monday. However, winds are expected to slightly decrease as the high pressure weakens Friday, Saturday, and going back up by Monday. We have warnings in effect at this moment for small craft operators and sea bathers. So far for today, I have not gotten any reports of any incidents that because of the winds.
The Atlantic high is still well anchored across the Eastern Caribbean, according to the Met Office. Recent surface and low-level chart analysis, along with recent downward trends in the wind speeds, are indicating some slight weakening of the pressure gradient across the Leeward Islands and the British Virgin Islands. A Dickinson Bay Street man who police charged last April for importing drugs into the country through the post office was fined $22,000 when he appeared in court on Tuesday. Andre Wilfred Simmons appeared before Chief Magistrate Joan Walsh to answer charges of possession of 99 ecstasy tablets and possession of 244.5 grams of cannabis, importation of ecstasy and importation of cannabis, and being concerned in the supplying of both ecstasy and cannabis. On the charge of importation, he was convicted and fined $15,000 and $7,000 for importation of cannabis. He was ordered to pay $5,000 forthwith and a monthly payment of $2,500 until the amount is fully paid. Failure to do so, he will spend 1 year at Her Majesty's prison. The other charges against him were withdrawn. The court heard that he went to the post office to clear a package which comprised of 2 speakers which was sent from Canada. When he was told by customs officers that the package had to be inspected, he hurriedly left the scene, claiming he needed to use the bathroom. The speaker boxes were examined and drugs were found concealed inside. He was later apprehended and charged. That's a look at national developments at 16 minutes on the hour of 7 o'clock, evening time in Antigua and Barbuda and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. Do stay with us. When we come back, news from across the region and internationally.
The Cultural Development Division presents
Saturday, February 17, Book Fair at the National Public Library, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
So come on out and participate.
Let's make Antigua History Month great.
The Cultural Development Division presents
Tuesday, February 27, a night of spoken words and entertainment at the Cultural Development Division Courtyard at 7 p.m. Performances by the Steel and Keys Band featuring the world-renowned pianist Aubrey Laku Samuel, Can Cordis playing black jazz, vocals by Just Souls, spoken words Melissa McLeish, dub poetry O'Dane Doyley, dramatic presentations from the NYTC actors, drumming.
An accident can happen at any time, and being involved in one is not a good experience. It can be tragic and expensive, especially without coverage from State Insurance. At State Insurance Corporation, we protect you from facing these challenges alone. Our private motor insurance policy covers accidental collision, fire, windscreen damage, acts of God, bodily injury, theft, medical expense, accidental death, and dismemberment. Visit our website at www.sicntiga.com or call us today at 481-7800 for more information. State Insurance Corporation, for your protection and our economy.
Thank you so much for staying with us on this Wednesday edition of Point FM's Nightly News. If you're just joining us, Antigua to have a Marriott Courtyard Hotel. The Prime Minister expects construction to begin shortly. And the Minister of National Security slams those responsible for Delano Forbes escaping police custody while assuring the public the fugitive will be apprehended. Turning now to developments on the regional scene, Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness has bowed to public pressure, announcing yesterday that in short order he will appoint a permanent Chief Justice. Further, Holness appears to have backed away from statements he made as he sought to defend his decision to appoint Brian Sykes to act as the country's top jurist. Actions that bring results will determine the assumption of the role of Chief Justice, he said during the swearing-in ceremony for Sykes earlier this month. But a day after, 97 judges spanning 3 tiers of the judicial system signed a declaration that took issue with the statement. The Prime Minister has extended the olive branch to the bench and other stakeholder groups that have frowned upon his comment. There was never any intention on the part of the executive to supervise or direct the judicial branch, he said in a statement from Cabinet yesterday. The Cabinet respects and reaffirms the principles of separation of powers and the independence of the judiciary in strengthening the rule of law. Holness, however, took a jab at what he described as the unprecedented declaration signed by the judges, pointing out that other avenues are available to resolve the matters raised. The government acknowledges, he said, the right and duty of the judges to zealously safeguard and preserve their judicial independence and the separation of powers. Notwithstanding, this must be done in such a way that does not undermine another arm of the state, negatively impact the economy, or compromise the rule of law, the Prime Minister noted. The statement said Cabinet welcomed the judges' concerns about inefficiencies, deficiencies, and delays in the justice system and agreed that a lot more needs to be done to ensure timely justice outcomes. The statement reaffirmed that very important point that all arms of government are accountable to the public. Trinidad soca artist Machel Montano has refuted claims that he had to be whisked away by an ambulance to seek medical attention after falling ill at the Soca Drome on Carnival Tuesday. In a telephone interview with C News, Mr. Montano said contrary to a newspaper report, he left the Soca Drome stage and rushed to meet his band Fantasy in time to cross the Savannah stage.
There is a 10-minute gap between them both. We hustled to get there. We ran So how is it possible? What ambulance? When? What? I don't know what. There's zero truth. Zero. Because reporters don't want to do the journalistic investigation.
The article alleged that Machel, who was visibly in pain and on the verge of a possible collapse, was hurried to a waiting maxi and was subsequently transferred to an ambulance. The report said the ambulance sped along Wendy Fitzwilliams Drive, supposedly taking the soca star for treatment at a private hospital in the area. However, according to CNews, there is no place in Port of Spain called Wendy Fitzwilliams Drive. Montano said he is not angry, just sad and disappointed that he had to waste so much time addressing a series of untruths published in today's Guardian newspaper. He urged media practitioners to do better and exercise due diligence in carrying out their duties. With increasing incidents of violence involving young people, veteran Barbadian parliamentarian Owen Arthur is calling for the establishment of a compulsory national youth service. He has urged government to take action as a means of curbing the kind of deviance being manifested in schools and the wider society. Delivering his last speech in the House of Assembly yesterday after a 34-year career as a parliamentarian, including 14 years as Prime Minister, the independent MP for St. Peter said he agreed with the mantra of the Democratic Labour Party that they are building not just an economy but a society. He said his disappointment in the estimates is that there is no new striking program upon which the government is prepared to embark to recognize that there is social disorder and that the state can have things to do that can help to address social disorder. Arthur, contributing to the estimates debate, complained fathers of Barbados were failing their country and not stepping up to their parental responsibilities. He called for serious intervention to enable social services to assist single mothers with sons at risk. Arthur said as a father of a daughter at Queen's College, he would never entertain the kind of defiant behavior being exhibited by school children from his child. He added that making fathers pay child support is not enough. Not only the economy is in trouble, the society is in trouble, and if it is in trouble, the duty of a parliament is to rescue it, he said. In developments now on the international scene, South Africa's embattled President Jacob Zuma has resigned his office with immediate effect. He made the announcement in a televised address to the nation on Wednesday evening. Earlier, Mr. Zuma's governing ANC party told him to resign or face a vote of no confidence in Parliament on Thursday. The 75-year-old has been under increasing pressure to give way to Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, the ANC's new leader. Mr. Zuma faces numerous allegations of corruption.
If my party and my compatriots wish that I be removed from office, they must exercise that right and do so in the manner prescribed by the Constitution. I fear no motion of no confidence or impeachment.
South Africa's President Jacob Zuma in a televised address on Wednesday evening in South Africa. Police in Parkland, Florida have arrested a suspect after responding to a major shooting incident at a local high school. More than an hour after the shooting began, the Broward Sheriff's Office said the shooter is now in custody. But it warned that the scene at Stoneman Douglas High School is still active. School Superintendent Robert Runis told reporters there are fatalities involved. He also said the suspect was potentially a former student. That individual, he said, they believe is in police custody. U.S. media outlets reported that up to 20 people may have been injured while some have been evacuated. A local Fox News affiliate reported seeing several people being treated for injuries outside the school. Meanwhile, Florida Senator Bill Nelson told Fox News there were many deaths, citing conversations with the school superintendent, the FBI, and the undersheriff. Video footage from the scene showed students being evacuated in small groups while armed police patrolled the school's perimeter. As the situation unfolded, helicopter footage appeared to show a person being handcuffed and placed in the back of a police car. Back now to Africa, Zimbabwe's main opposition leader, Morgan Tsvangirai, has died in South Africa. Mr. Tsvangirai, 65, a former prime minister, had reportedly been suffering from colon cancer. Here's more in this BBC report.
The news of Morgan Tsvangirai's death was communicated in a tweet by one of his vice presidents. It read, "We have lost our icon and fighter for democracy. Messages of sympathy have begun pouring in. Mr. Tsvangirai's visits to Johannesburg had increased as it became apparent that he was losing the fight against colon cancer. He will be remembered for daring to stand against President Robert Mugabe. He lost, but many believe he was cheated out of the presidency. In his death, he leaves behind a party feuding over who should take his place."
That story on Morgan Tsvangirai's passing has brought us to the end of the international developments this evening. The time is now 4 minutes on the hour of 7 o'clock. The weather report is next.
Pointe and Barbuda valid up to 8 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday, the 15th of February 2018. Although slightly weakened, the surface high pressure system will remain dominant across the area, maintaining a moderate wind flow and elevated seas.
The weather report has brought us to the end of Point FM's nightly news for Wednesday, the 14th day of February 2018. Just before we go, a recap of the headlines that made the news. Antigua is to have a Marriott Courtyard hotel. The Prime Minister expects construction of the 125 guest rooms, of the 125 guest rooms to begin shortly. The announcement was made today in Dubai. The Prime Minister was in attendance. The Minister of National Security slams those responsible for Delano Forbes escaping police custody while assuring the public the fugitive will be apprehended. The Jamaican Prime Minister bows to pressure, announcing a permanent Chief Justice will be appointed shortly, and South Africa's President tenders his resignation in a televised address. We thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday edition of our newscast. On behalf of all of us here at Point FM, I am Phil George, wishing you a pleasant rest of the evening. Goodbye.